Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning into Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to trim some of my Mame trees because I've let them grow a little bit too leggy. And I don't have a problem with letting my trees grow. I remember John Naka, who I was lucky enough to meet in person as he came through Florida. He used to talk about people that would come to his house and they'd be somewhat dismayed that his collection wasn't all in perfect show quality. And he said, you can't keep an entire collection in perfect show quality all the time. And so I took that to heart. And since I'm badly lazy, that was perfect for me. Anyway, I have a picture of this tree that I took in November of 2022. Since then, it got hail damage. I wonder if we can see some of the hail damage. Oh yeah. In the picture, you'll notice there's a branch. Actually, let me cut some of it off here and here. In the picture, there's a branch that used to be right there that came and filled this in, and so far really nothing has grown there. And then there's another right here. That was the apex. So now my apex is kind of, I don't know really what to do with it. So a little discouraging. Nothing you can do about Mother Nature, and that hailstorm was crazy. In fact, maybe I'll show you some pictures of the hail as it gathered. I have one, I think, at my back door and another one at my garage. So obviously this guy, all this new growth, you can see the new growth, all needs to be cut away. And I'm just using the typical mound. And then there's some places that could probably use a little wire. So how does that look? Looks better. I've been thinking of turning this as the front. I think this might get that cutting off of there. I think this might make a very nice front. You know, this branch here, which would be the first main branch, is actually almost coming straight from the back, but that's why they invented wire. So I'm really thinking very seriously of making this the front, because it has beautiful movement with this as the front. This is the front. It's okay. Maybe it needs to be repotted like that. But for now, this is all I'm doing. Just a basic trimming. I'm also going to remove some of the larger leaves. And I've got numerous ones, and I've let them all grow. And I don't consider that to be detrimental. Well, you'll see what I mean. So there's number one. This Premna is the exact same age as the first one I just showed you. They were cuttings taken at the same time. They were removed from the rooting bed after they had rooted at the same time. They were put into bonsai pots at the same time. But this one has a completely different character. And this one only has two places of excess growth. We've got this right here, which comes off, and then this right here. That's actually coming from this branch here, so we're going to cut it off. And we have some that has died back, so I'm going to cut that away too. And this guy's still a work in progress. Here's some more dieback. But it's a pretty nice tree. It needs some more development also. But bonsai for me is always about looking to the future, enjoying the process, and realizing that it's just going to get better and better as the future goes on. And this is in a hexagonal pot, so it could conceivably have a different front also. Maybe this might make an interesting front, which means you'd get rid of this branch here, and this would need to be brought down. So where the front actually is on this tree, would that make a decent front? That one, I don't know about that one. Looks okay, but so that's tree number 2. This tree also had some hail damage. If you look right here, you can see the scar. Pretty bad. So there's number 2. Tree number 3 is another Premna that is just way overgrown. It's so overgrown that it has huge leaves. Typically with Mame. And Premna are fantastic at this. Let me get a little cutting. You can get your leaves on the entire tree. Get him out of the way. About that big. So they miniaturize beautifully. This is another one, and this is interesting because I brought back tree number 1, but in the exact same pot. Exact same pot. Which is interesting. But this tree hasn't developed anywhere near. This is probably premature bonsai potting, that I have to admit. And it's also just a wild, rangy, where's the front, where's the branching? It's like, what? Why'd I even stick it into a bonsai pot? However, as I have said, there's always a future. And actually, I'm kind of looking now that if we bring that guy up, like that, we have the beginnings of a potential bonsai. This is the first main branch. This tiny bit that I just cut off is the second main branch. I'm going to bring the apex up like that, cut away a lot of this stuff in the back. And this tree has always confused me, so it's still confusing me. But that's okay. At some point, bonsai is a lot of that too for me. Is I'll have a tree and I won't be quite sure where to go with it, and then one day you'll just see it. And like I said here, bring that up and you've got the beginnings of a decent tree, even though it will probably never be as thick and as full as tree number 1. It still can make a decent enough tree. And all that excess growth that was on there, oh, another thing I'm going to do is I still have 2 huge leaves that are going to come off. So there we go. Tree number 3. I hope I don't start missing count. In the camera it looks really weird. We really need to put that up and bring this guy down. Look, I'm bringing it down and the whole tree's moving. So that's number 3. Tree number 4 is a kind of a funky thing. If we take these 2 leaves off right here and here, you'll see that it has a massive trunk, which then tapers down almost immediately to very thin growth. And if you'll notice, this cut right here and this cut right here were cuts of growth that was at least as long as these guys are. So I let it grow way out and then cut it back to just those little stubs, and now I've let it grow again. This is going to be the front. This is it's going to be a sumo. A sumo is defined as a bonsai that's as tall as it is wide, and you can never really get that, but it's going to be a pseudo sumo. And another interesting part about the pot is that I got this from another friend who was doing away with a bunch of smaller pots, so I took it from her. It was missing 2 feet, so this foot here and this foot here are actually epoxy. And oh, it's got nice white roots coming. So you can see the scar on this thing. This was a massive trunk chop. So if you're a beginner, it's probably the hardest thing to do is to chop a tree down. You know, this thing might have been 3 feet and take it down to just an inch. However, in the course of things, I think this is going to be a very cool tree. I think originally I had the front somewhere in here, but I really like the Nabari now. So I'm going to have to, if it stays in this pot, it's going to be repotted because it does have 2 good feet, and obviously you want those for the front. But right now it's just trimming. So we're going to cut this guy, going to cut this guy, going to cut this guy, we're going to cut this guy. And then you can see there's some things happening here. I'm not sure I even need this. So I'm going to take it way off. You know, it's a little tiny growth right there. So I'm just going to take him off. And this is going to be the leader. And then we've got 2 bar branches that are both coming out of the same position. And actually I'm going to cut it even more to right there. So this would be the leader. So now you can kind of see that we're going to have a little tree that's going to have a canopy like that. And with the Nabari, get rid of that, with the Nabari and the leaves miniaturized, I mean, look how little and tiny some of these leaves are. This is going to be a really cool tree. It's going to probably take a couple more years. I'm probably going to promote this little guy out like that. And then this may be the next main branch. That's all in the future again. Once again, I'm always looking to the future. And very definitely, one thing I want to do with this tree is to move the front so that both feet are good. You can even see the feet. Where's my producer? Guy keeps... He's never around when you need him. Oh wait, I'm all doing this all by myself. Alright, that's number 4. Number 4. Number 5 is this Neea. Neea buxifolia. And I just potted this guy into this pot February of this year. And I have the picture of it when it was potted that day. And as you can see, first main branch, second main branch, I actually wired the apex up. So the first main branch needs to be cut tremendously. I have a branch in the back here that could very easily be used as a sacrifice branch to pump more thickness into this lower part of the trunk. Neeas grow with very, very thin, elongated growth. I'm going to cut the back branch back just to show you, get him out of the way. They just grow very thin, very long. It takes a long, long time to get any kind of trunk thickness. But I think this is going to be a cute little tree. And I'm going to take the apex to about right there. And rainfall, or whatever, since this is a newly potted plant, has washed out a lot of the soil. So I'm going to give him some more fertilizer. You can see how it's really not rooted that well. Give him a little more fertilizer and then freshen up the soil on this guy. All the other ones I've showed you had roots that were much more established, so they didn't need new soil. So anyway, that's number 5. Number 6 is yet another Premna. Don't know why I switched to the Neea actually, but no big deal. And this is an interesting tree because this scar right here was actually the whole tree. The tree came up into here, and then it all just died back, and I was just left with a stump. But I scratched the bark, and I saw that the cambium was still green, so I thought, okay, well, I'll just leave it and see what happens. And it grew a whole new top. And it's beginning to get the structure of a decent bonsai. And of course, right now, process is just cutting off all the excess. to. So we're getting there. This branch here is too high. I'm afraid that this part of this branch actually died. So this is probably going to be the first main branch, even though this branch comes right out of the curve. And I suppose I could bring it down. Every time I try to bring it down, the whole tree moves. So bring that guy down. Second main branch. And cut this guy. And I've never really, I've always wondered what I should do with the scar from the old tree. I've left it for now. And I'm not sure if I should just take my concave cutters and just, cut it like that. So this is just as old as some of the others, but it's more skeletonized because I had to start over. I had the tree right here and it died, so I had to completely start over. So this has another year or so before it starts to look as developed as some of the other Premna that I've showed you, like numbers 1 and 2. So that's number 6. And we're starting to get shadow, but I'm going to continue. Tree number 7 is another Premna. And this one has also had some catastrophic problems. If you look at the scar in the back, there was a lot of growth that got snapped off, and that really wasn't in the hailstorm, but it broke anyway. So I think that at one point the front was like this. Here's some hail damage, that scar right there that hasn't quite healed yet. And then I never really was quite sure what to do with it. So I was hemming and hawing, and I cut it back after it had the damage, but now I've decided to make this the front. Like that. And I'm going to cut all of this off here. Shorten this guy like crazy, shorten this guy like crazy, and shorten this guy like crazy. So there you go. I like the Nabari on this side. And that was a pretty drastic cutback. But this tree has never really developed well for me, so I'm hoping now that I can, now I've chosen my branches, work on the apex. This will be a much more feminine tree, thinner, with much more space between the branches. But that wasn't hard. And believe me, I have struggled over this tree for a year at least, wondering what am I going to do with this thing. So I finally made my decision and I did the cut. So I think I have one more. This is a natal plum, Carissa grandiflora. It produces a 5-pointed white flower that looks a whole lot like Confederate jasmine, and that's because it's very closely related to Confederate jasmine. This guy has a very interesting structure, and you notice it hasn't gone whoosh like that because they don't grow like that. There's no crazy growth that's 3, 4, 5 inches out. But it still needs a little trimming, so I'm just going to do more of a haircut. The design of this tree is pretty much set, so just keep it in bounds. Give it a haircut. You notice it's producing very milky white sap, and that's also characteristic of Confederate jasmine, which by the way is not a true jasmine, but that's beside the point. Sometimes you'll see Confederate jasmine as bonsai, but they're hard because they are a vine. They do go, wah! I mean, the growth just goes crazy on those things. Carissa are I don't know where they're native from, but they're adapted quite well to Florida, to Zone 10, where I live. This variety, even though it's a Mame, is called Boxwood Beauty, which is a very widely used shrub. Let me clean it up a little bit. So there you go. Not that much. Still needs some space between the branches for the birds to fly through, as John Naka would say. And I know my head keeps making shadows. But there you go. There is the last one of my Mame. And I have no problem with letting them grow out like that and then cutting them back. I'm pretty happy with a couple of them because I finally made the decision of what I wanted for the trees. A couple other have given me some frustration, mainly because of the hail damage that happened in April of 2023. I just never really was quite sure how to proceed. And that can happen. So if you've got bonsai and you're still kind of wondering, or even, you know, trees in training, what do I do with this thing? I have no qualms about just waiting, maybe give it some haircuts, maybe have some sacrifice branches to let the bottom thicken. And then one day you'll just see, you'll say, yeah, okay, that's what I want to do. This is a pretty cute little guy. I love my Mame. They're just really fun, even though they are a challenge also. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you'll be able to see the progress of these and all the trees I'm working on. I've only been up and running for 6 months, and I'm trying to create a database where in 2 or 3 years from now you'll be able to see this tree 2 or 3 months, every time I do a video on its development. You'll be able to watch it develop over the years, which is really the true essence of bonsai. I'm not a proponent of instant bonsai where I just take a ragged tree and turn it like boom, 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 boom into a bonsai. That's just not my style. So I hope that you can get something out of the style I do have. And I already said like and subscribe, right? I think I do that every video. I start to say goodbye and then I start rambling on again. Alright, so shut up. Thank you. I was talking to myself. Shut up. Should I edit that out? Nah. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.